Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Aaron Washington, and this is my video. I just want to start saying thank you for all watching. I'm here with DeVita Studios, and this will be the beginning of many more for Low-Key Legends. Right now, I am doing Coffee and Crits, and I'm also working on Bahari with Guild Gaming. So what is Low-Key Legends? What will it be? Well, I know what I hope for it to be. I know what I want it to be. And what I want it to be is a way to help everyone's day-to-day gaming. I want it to be able to work with and build to make a game from simple to epic, from simple to legendary, something that your table will remember. And there's so many really good resources out there already. There's so many other great people who give great advice on YouTube for this thing. I'm just wondering for a long time if my perspective was, worth putting out in the atmosphere. But you know what? Maybe my method to madness can help you make your game more memorable, right? Because it's not always the big climactic description that does the game for you. It's not always the giant figures. There are smaller things you can do throughout a game, throughout a session, throughout a campaign that can make it feel more full, more whole, better. And I think that is what I want to focus on. These small or low-key things to make the game more legendary. So here at Low-Key Legends, that's essentially what I want to do. That's what I want to make. From small things like PC backgrounds, or even motivations and things like that for NPCs, ways to know when your players are interested in one thing, how to divert them, when to bring out the railroad track, when to make it more boxy and sandboxy for them to explore. Those kinds of elements all make a game dynamic. It all makes the game flow and function and work. So that's what I particularly want to focus on. That's what this channel will focus on, making those things more important, making those things more available, ways to spice up combat, way to make combat move a little faster for you. And I'm not going to touch on just Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. My hope is to spread this out and make it a little bit more universal. I will be referencing Dungeons and Dragons a lot because it's a lot is what I've ran the most of over anything. And that and just homebrew stuff, how to make homebrew stuff work, how to make it good, how to make it not so crazy and, well, senseless, stop it from breaking your games. So there we go. That's going to be our beginning. So how would I like to start this off? Where would I like to begin? What am I going to say first? Well, I'm going to tell you a story. Just a simple tale of my first campaign and what it was and how it was. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So I got into Dungeons & Dragons in college. I was currently going at Mount Olive, and we decided we're going to play. Started off with a really good friend of mine, Thomas. So we just picked up some books. Funny enough, we didn't even have the right editions of books. At the time, 4th edition was the sauce, the big thing, which means no one really liked it. No one was really into 4th edition. Everyone was still 3.5 or die, or, went to Paizo to Pathfinder because they didn't like the mode in which 4th edition was going. We didn't know the difference. We just knew that we wanted to Dungeons and some Dragons. So we decided to Dungeons and some Dragons with what we had. And what was that? Well, a 3.5 handbook and 4E monster manual and DM guide. As you can tell, none of that made sense together. But did it stop us from trying to play? Absolutely not. In fact, our player's handbook we bought off of a thrift bookstore. That's where we got all the pieces from, actually. A thrift bookstore. So we ended up playing for a while, and then we realized that nothing was working out. These monsters in 4E were just hitting way too hard. So we scratched that. We finally got ourselves a actual set, and we started with fourth edition. Um, what I immediately realized, because I started as a DM, I did not get any player action at first. Even though me and my friend Thomas, shout out my man, would switch off a lot between each other, is that I really wanted my players to enjoy the story. I wanted them to. I wanted the oohs and the ahs when I saw when an event happened. I wanted them to feel how I would envision it in my head, and I wanted them to feel the emotion, and I wanted them to feel the desperation, the anger, the rage. And so, like, every time we would run a game, there'd be this new thing. And every time that thing would just be bigger and better and more impactful. And the losses got bigger. The stakes got higher. And I was doing it every session. Every session. Man cannot live on epic alone. Man cannot live on legend alone. So I literally would be stressing myself out, racking my brain, figuring out how to one up the thing I did before. And I mean, this was even before they were like level 5, and I'm throwing these colossal bits at them, and I couldn't figure out how to make the next game even better. And a lot of times I felt like I wasn't living up to it, because I felt like every game had to be this colossal fight between good and evil. And that's when I realized, that's like it hit to me like an epiphany. But over time, I just burned out, and I was like, man, I just talked to my players like, guys, like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, we're in this crazy thing. I don't know if I can top this. And they literally, one of my friends, Quintus at the time, he looked at me, he's like, you don't have to. He's like, it doesn't have to be that every time. Like, we could just, do this quest or something like that. And I was like, I mean, you guys will be happy with that? Like, there aren't gods fighting each other in the clouds while you're doing the battles. This is just a fetch quest in a murky forest. Yeah, we'll be good. And then, I don't know, like a light bulb went off, and I was like, oh, it doesn't have to be colossal every time. It doesn't have to be that every go. And I've held that to heart, because a lot of times it's the smaller moments that make the big moments possible. Just for an example, if you as a DM plan, or GM, to kill off an NPC, if they meet them and then they show up spectacularly, that may be cool. And then if they die in a more spectacular fashion, that's even better. But I would argue that sometimes what is most impactful, and of course you got to do it in a way, I know your party, you don't want them to all just break down because this battle ended. But an NPC who has been likable, helpful, someone that they've learned to trust over smaller time, over just a little bit every go. They're not super overwhelming like the dreaded DM NPC that we get all the time. They're just really easygoing. If that is what they are, when something does happen to them, you're going to get a little bit of a different reaction at the table. Sometimes it'll be a little bit more impactful. Oh man, this like legendary wizard, something happened to him. That's absolutely fine. But oh, the hedge wizard who's been giving us potions every now and then, who's, helped us when we couldn't figure out how to do that curse. Or he's the same hedge wizard who, talked to us after that rough go we went to, and Now, something happened to that little hedge wizard. All of a sudden now it's a huge problem. Like, it's impactful because through those smaller interactions, he has made a bigger impact as a character. So that's just the kind of information, the kind of help I want to be able to give. Now, it's very different from what I do with Coffee and Crits, because in Coffee and Crits, it's just me and the guys debating, right? Like, we debate, we talk, we argue, right? We agree, we disagree, but that's just a bunch of guys talking tabletop shop, right? Bahari is a nautical Dungeons and Dragons game I am running. Bahari is like my own mental creation, and I'm running at the Guild. That's a little different platform. I definitely suggest you check us out. I'm pretty okay at running it, at best. But Low Key Legends is going to be, I think, what I want it to be, which is an outlet for my advice. Like I said, my chaos in my head for you to use. And maybe you use it and your game is better. Maybe you hear me talking and say, this man is insane. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I will take his advice and discard it. But it may make you think about it, how you want to do it. Oh, I can do it much better. That's even better. So for the good, the bad, the ugly, I hope you all enjoy. I hope you all will like, and I hope you all will keep up with us. And remember, guys, the quest never ends.